Hello, and welcome from the Writing Studio. At the Writing Studio, you have the opportunity to meet individually with trained consultants to talk about any writing project or concern. Our services are free and confidential for any member of Vanderbilt's scholarly community. In this video, we'll be talking about thesis statements, what they are, what makes a strong thesis statement, and why they're so important in academic essays. Our goal is to help you as you write your own thesis statements. So, what is a thesis statement? If you've ever been asked to write an essay, you probably have some idea of what a thesis statement is. You probably know that it should come near the beginning of your piece of writing, and that it should identify your topic. You might recall that it should state your main claim about that topic. But is that all a thesis statement is? And how can we distinguish a good thesis statement from a, well, less than good thesis statement? These are the questions this video will address. As we do, keep in mind that different contexts have different and sometimes very specific expectations for thesis statements. If you are writing for a class, always be sure to talk to your instructor to clarify the expectations of your particular assignment. In this video, we'll be focusing on argumentative essays. Not all academic writing assignments are argumentative essays. You may also be asked to do writing that is descriptive, explanatory, persuasive, and so forth. Writing in those genres will still likely call on you to have a thesis statement in the general sense. But some of the specifics may be different from what we discuss here. As always, remember to talk to your instructor. So, as we think about writing thesis statements for argumentative essays, what are some of the characteristics of good thesis statements? First off, a good thesis statement is, well, argumentative. Now in this context, being argumentative means that your thesis should make a claim which can be disputed, instead of simply announcing a topic. For example, the thesis of this paper is the difficulty of solving our environmental problems, announces a topic, but does not make a direct claim. Compare it to this. Solving our environmental problems is more difficult than many environmentalists believe, which makes a claim that can be disputed. A good thesis statement is controversial. This doesn't mean controversial in an everyday sense, as though every thesis should address a hot-button issue. Rather, it means that a good thesis statement is one that a reasonable person could disagree with and argue for an alternative position. For example, Romeo and Juliet is a play about young lovers struggling against their families. May be correct, but no reasonable person would disagree with it. It's obvious. And an essay that offers an obvious and non-controversial thesis statement is not usually interesting to its readers, or to its writer. On the other hand, while it is true that Romeo and Juliet is a play about young lovers, the most complex relationships are those between the young characters and their older mentors. Starts with the same basic and uncontroversial idea, but then takes it in a more unexpected and debatable direction. A good thesis statement is supportable. The demand that a thesis be controversial does not mean that it should be ridiculous or indefensible. A thesis will clearly require evidence to prove its claim. Good thesis statements will often, although not always, make it clear what kind of evidence the essay will use to support its claims. For example, consider the thesis statement, Anna Karenina is a likable character. While the author may find Anna Karenina to be likable, this is simply a statement of personal preference. There's no way for the author to reasonably support it with evidence. On the other hand, the thesis statement, Tolstoy, through his use of free indirect discourse, illustrates the rationale behind Anna Karenina's actions, is not only supportable, but clearly indicates how it will support its claims through an analysis of Tolstoy's use of indirect discourse. A good thesis statement is significant. It should be worth arguing for, and ideally it will explain or suggest why it is worth arguing for. For example, Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite is a cautionary tale. It uses language that implies that it's a significant claim, but does not actually make it clear to the reader what that claim is or why it's important. While Bong Joon-ho's film Parasite is a cautionary tale that provides a trenchant critique of wealth disparities in present-day Seoul, makes it clear why this analysis of the film Parasite is relevant and also worth reading. A good thesis statement is focused. It should answer the prompt and be narrow enough to discuss and prove within the assigned length. For example, Loretta Lynn's songwriting was innovative, powerful, and overall had a major impact on the history of country music. May be true, but it's such a sweeping claim and uses such general vocabulary that it's almost impossible to prove it in a satisfactory way. For example, what counts as a major impact? Without greater focus, the author will find it difficult to write this essay well. On the other hand, Loretta Lynn's lyrics, with their frank examination of gender inequality, paved the way for feminist expression in the work of future country artists such as Maren Morris and Brandi Carlile, makes a very specific claim that will guide the author's writing and could be supported in a single essay. A good thesis statement is directed. A good thesis statement will often hint at or say explicitly how the argument will be proven. As such, it is a kind of condensed argument. For example, World War II led to the modernization of industrial facilities in Japan, makes a claim, but World War II led to the modernization of industrial facilities in Japan by doing X, Y, and Z, gives the reader a clear sense of how that claim will be supported and of the organization of the essay. So, to review at least some of the characteristics of good thesis statements. Good thesis statements are usually argumentative, controversial, supportable, significant, focused, and directed. Now that we understand some of the characteristics of strong thesis statements, let's talk just a bit about why we make them. Why are they so important in academic writing? In academic writing, a thesis statement articulates a contribution to an academic conversation. This means that it doesn't come out of nowhere. Your claim is made in relation to what others have said about your topic. This might mean responding to widely accepted commonplaces, what everybody knows, to arguments frequently accepted in a given field, and even responding to arguments advanced by individual experts in that field. Now, which of these will depend on your context, on the specific writing assignment, and your particular thesis statement and argument. But making a claim in response to what others have said about your topic is a feature of academic writing regardless of whether you're an undergraduate student just getting started in a discipline, a graduate student working on a thesis or dissertation, or even a leading scholar in the field. Many successful academic writers use a series of 3 strategic moves to lay out their arguments and show how they relate to the ideas of others. At the writing studio, we often term these moves stasis, destabilization, and resolution. A stasis is the idea to which you're responding, whether a commonly held assumption in a field or a persuasive position argued by one or more experts in the field. It provides the backdrop against which the writer will situate his or her own argument. The destabilization, often signaled by a however or a but, is the moment when the writer begins to distinguish their own position in contrast to the stasis. The resolution articulates why the destabilization matters. What are its broader implications? How does it offer a new and important outlook? How might it contribute to the academic conversation on this topic? A strong thesis statement almost always includes some form of destabilization. The stasis serves to set up the thesis and will often be established early in the essay and immediately before the thesis statement. Now, as for the resolution, sometimes it's expressed in the thesis statement, but other times it's developed over the course of the paper or is addressed in the conclusion. Now, hopefully you're ready to start drafting your own thesis statement. However, if when you begin writing, you have trouble with the thesis or with deciding what kind of an argument it will be, using a template for a working thesis might help you as you write. For example, take this template. In this paper, I argue that blank, because or by blank. Because academic writers often make claims that take similar forms, such as stasis, destabilization, and resolution, it's possible to use basic forms of these moves as templates to help you clarify your thinking and refine your thesis statement. Then, once you have a clearer idea of the thrust of your paper and how it responds to others' ideas on its topic, you can come back and revise this working thesis. For more detailed examples of thesis statement templates, see our handout on They Say, I Say Templates for Argumentation, linked below the video. Of course, these are only models. They're useful to help you get started, but don't think of them as plug-and-play options. You'll have to do quite a bit of tweaking before your thesis is ready for your paper. Developing a strong thesis statement is a process. As you work to write and refine your own thesis statement, keep in mind that it will likely change as you think about, draft, and revise your essay. For more resources on writing thesis statements, check out the handouts on our website and also linked below this video. And if you'd like to talk to someone about your thesis statement, or any other part of your essay, schedule an appointment with a consultant at the Writing Studio. We'd love to work with you.